Just going to make sure we're up and running here, and then we'll get started. Check one. Check one. That means we're in. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for 56 and under. I'm going to get started with the opening promo and title, and then we'll chat about why we're here today. So, thanks for joining. Yes, indeed. Happy Wednesday, all you Hopper fans, and happy Wednesday to all of the Survivor fans as well. Second episode of Survivor airs tonight for season 49. Don't want to miss that. And I want to welcome all of you to this episode of 56 and Under, where we are 4 or 5 seconds from wild. And my name is Sam Skibbe, your host of WCT Wednesday show on the weekly content schedule live on Twitch, where instead of eating food on my lunch break, you get your fill of whiffs instead. Don't forget to subscribe to the WCT Twitch channel and hit that bell to be notified of any time we go live here on Twitch. For those of you, most of you might be watching this on YouTube. We always post it afterwards after it goes live onto YouTube. So thank you again to Jason for posting that onto YouTube. And we welcome all of our national guests who will be here because this is a UWiffs special. It's been a while since we've had 56 and under, and I think the last time we had 56 and under, was right before the NWLA tournament. So it's been quite a while. There's a lot that's been going on, not only around here in Missouri, but around the country as well. But I thought it was time for a return as my back to school rush has finally behind me. And the reason that I am 4 or 5 seconds from wild, and as Rihanna would sing, is because we are just days away from the biggest wiffle ball event of the year, United Wiffle. Got a game going on behind me from last year, the Bi Freaks versus the North Stars going on behind me. And I'm here at my bar, and we are only a couple days from leaving to Wellspan Park in York, Pennsylvania, where hopefully someone other than the usual suspects or the juggernauts will outwit, outplay, and outlast the competition to hoist the trophy on Sunday, October 5th. Today's episode, we are going to have a very UWiffs heavy agenda with some touches of some other things closer to home to start for here in St. Louis. First, I want to start from the SWBL side of things. We'll be hosting our annual Wiffle Tournament the day after Halloween on November 1st at the Blur, so exactly 1 month from today. Space is limited and many teams are already signed up, so if you want a spot, sign up soon and make sure you get those costumes ready for the costume prize. Registration will close in a couple weeks after UWiffs. Now we'll move on to my other home league, MoWiff. The MoWiff playoffs have been completed. And while most league members know the outcome, the championship match between the Thunderbirds and the Purge will have its own video released after UWiffs, keeping it a secret, keeping it under wraps so everybody else can go out and watch that once the video is out. Playoffs were as intense as ever, and Season 5 truly ended with a bang. After the championship video, Season 5 will wrap up with the All-Star Game, Home Run Derby, awards ceremony, and I don't think this gives too much away because it's obvious with stats and schedule and such like that, but it's a new era of MoWiff, in my opinion, as not only will we crown a new champion, because the Thunderbirds or the Purge, neither of them have won a championship in their franchise careers, but we also should probably have a new Wiffle winner. We should have a new MVP. It's always been kind of the same people winning those awards, so it's going to be exciting. This league is growing in its talent, and honestly, it is like practicing for UWiffs week in and week out. When you are playing in MoWiff. So it's exciting to see it come to fruition in Season 5 here as we head to UWiff this weekend. Now, close to home also, we had the Iron Will Tournament hosted by NWA. Nice tournament put on by Pat Ballman and crew. And that also completed with a brand new champion as well. The same two teams have been winning every single year. So congratulations to the CI Prospects with Chandler Melton and Caden Rice, both of whom will be heading to York, Pennsylvania for UWiffs with their team, the Crew. We have 4 teams from Missouri that will be heading out. True Missouri teams, excuse me. There are some other spots here and there where some other MoWiff players are playing on separate teams, but 4 true Missouri teams with all the players from Missouri. It'll be exciting to see how Chandler and Caden continue to trend upwards. They've been playing so much recently and doing a lot of winning, so excited to see the Crew play with them at the helm too. I wanted to make a quick mention again to the NWLA tournament, which is going to be hosted in 2026 here in the heart of the Midwest on August 14th through the 16th next summer. It'll have a kind of a UWiffs vibe to it, being hosted in a stadium, the O'Fallon Hoots. It's an all-turf stadium for an independent baseball league team. And there's already 12 teams signed up from across the country, including 3 teams from the East Coast we're very excited about as we look to get back to that 20-plus leagues in attendance for the event. Sign up by sending in your registration fee of the current $200 to @SkibbeWiffleball on Venmo. And the next price increase will start at 2026. So at the start of 2026, there will be another price increase, so reserve your spot today. But you are hearing it here first as a special bonus Easter egg. If a league commissioner is listening to this 56 and under episode from around the country, and you are interested in registering for the NWLA tournament, at UWiffs weekend only, if you seek me out and find me, show me your phone that you're about to send the Venmo, I'm going to knock $25 off of your NWLA registration fee only at UWiffs. It's a UWiffs special. So from one tournament to another, if you want to register for the NWLA tournament, this again will be the lowest price that it has been in many, many years. So if you would like $25 off, $175 would be your total. Come and find me at UWiffs. Show me your phone that you're sending the Venmo, and you'll get $25 off of your registration for NWLA tournament in 2026. Now let's segue to the big dance. Coming up this weekend, United Wiffle in York, Pennsylvania. The only thing we know are the team rosters. Well, kind of, because I feel like there's been some changes, and I apologize ahead of time if I do not know those changes. I am just going off of the rosters that are reflected off of Instagram posts that the Cook brothers have been posting on their United Wiffle Instagram feed. The rosters could have changed, but all we know really is the teams that are playing and which contenders bracket they fall into after we had the contenders bracket draw this past Sunday. The rest will be decided on Saturday and Sunday on the field at Wellspan Park. Today, I'm going to go through each contender's bracket in this segment and give my prediction of who I think is the favorite to win that one. And it might not be my opinion. I just think it's the opinion of many people that these would probably be the heavy prediction favorite to win their bracket. But then I'm going to pick 5 players from 5 other teams that might have a big role on Saturday to possibly take that team down. So take down the favorites. Now, I will also give my prediction of a first round game that I think holds big implications if an upset happens to alter the course of that contenders bracket. We all know anything can happen on the field. We all know that once we get into the day on Saturday, one team, one player can make that difference in a contenders bracket. And I think we're going to see it. We saw it last year. Every single year, there's always that surprise Cinderella story. So I'm going to kind of make a prediction on each of those two. So let's get to it. I am going to start here with bracket A, and I'm going to pull it up for everybody here on the screen. For bracket A, I'm going to make it a little smaller. There we go. You might not be able to see it, might not be able to. But brought to you by Grand Slam Systems. As you see here, the new stats system for UWiff. Very excited about that. We had a meeting on Monday. So excited to see Grand Slam Systems come to fruition here. The guys at TWibbble, as they say, Texas Wiffle Ball League, creating this new stat system. Excited to see it play out and hopefully used by leagues and tournaments in the future. Starting with bracket A, my favorites, and I think everybody's favorites, we've been hearing it the whole time, even at the draw. You've been hearing it online. You've been hearing it from WCFT on Instagram. Whoever wins this Phenoms Las Vegas round 1 game is basically the favorites. I mean, that game is, bar none, probably one of the best games that you can hope to witness and see. And that Phenoms Las Vegas game, my prediction is whoever wins that game is probably the favorite to win it all, the one that's going to go 3-0. Now I'm going to move on to my 5 players that can maybe play spoiler to that on different teams. The first one from Slaughterhouse, right above them, is Matt Schmidt, formerly of the Dumps, and now on Slaughterhouse. A huge signing for Slaughterhouse, the nickname Buffalo, as many know. And I had the honor of playing against Matt Schmidt, great hitter, but also a fantastic pitcher, was the best pitcher on the Dumps. Never got to face him when he was on the mound, but he really had the Dumps in a really good spot last year, and they definitely were not down in the dumps after their finish. But having Matt Schmidt added to Slaughterhouse, I think is a big get for this team, who already was a top 16 contender, and now just adding him, I think, is going to cement them into top 16 as they look to get over the hump and get into Sunday. So Slaughterhouse is my pick with Matt Schmidt to maybe make a run past the Cajuns. Speaking of the Cajuns, they added the new one, my second player from Contenders Bracket A, Chase Oliver. Formerly of TC35, former of different fame here and there, but I played with the Juggernauts in Maw. But Chase Oliver is going to be a huge pickup for this Cajuns team that made it to Sunday last year. Adding in a bat and a pitching arm like Chase Oliver only adds to the depth that is the Cajuns. That Cajun Slaughterhouse game in that first round is going to be a big one for them too, as they go from the winner of the Phenoms Las Vegas game. I'll give you a different view here. I'll put it in the corner, but as you kind of looked at the bracket already, another one on my list that I have from the Wiffleholics added to it is Lucas Francis. The Wiffleholics are playing the Abominable Wifflemen, and I know the AWs have not had some success last year. I know they're looking to improve on it this year, but they're facing off against a Wiffleholics team that's looking to make a bounce back year for them, and Lucas Francis is the signing to get them to that spot. Has pitched in big time games, has played some big time teams and gotten wins. So the Wiffleholics adding this arm, I think, is going to be really helpful for them to get past that first round on the winner's side of things. They will face off against the winner of the Risers and Miracle matchup, and these are my next 2 teams that I'm going to highlight, a person on each of these teams, and I'm talking about a Saturday impact. We know the Risers have been the story out of Maw this year. They win the Maw regular season, #1 seed. Everybody's expecting them to do so well. And for me to say, and for many other pundits to say that they are not the winners of this contenders bracket outright, not your pick to win, they still have something to prove, right? This Maw and the tournament are different. This team is a fantastic team. They're loaded. And while we know Caleb Jeter is the real deal, we know Ben Doolin is the real deal, I don't know if we see them this early on, maybe in the 2-0 game if they can get there. I don't know if we see them this early, but I do think that Dave Capobianco, I think is going to be my biggest difference maker for this Risers team on Saturday. He's the leader of the team. He's at the helm. He is going to probably get some innings early on in the contenders bracket. and he's going to have to step up and hit for this team too. So I'm going to go with Cap as my difference maker for the Risers on Saturday. If he is rolling, the rest of the team's going to be rolling too, and they are going to get the victories that they're looking for. They're facing off against a Miracle team who is hungry to prove themselves too, and I'm actually going to pick a household name here that many people know, and that is Cam Smith. And I think the Miracle will go as he goes, because this is a team that on both sides of the ball, they have pitching, they do have hitting, they do have pitching. Cam, if he is on pitching or hitting, this team is going to get that boost to make it to that 2-0 game and possibly get to that 3-0. This first matchup against the Risers is going to be a huge test, but they have the pitching depth to do it. Tony Cochran and Rory Rank are going to hit for this team. Josh Wheeler has been working like mad to make sure that he is ready to go at the plate. And then we all know the pitching prowess of Josh Wheeler and Spencer Foss this year at MoWiff, but Cam Smith is my difference maker. He is magical at this tournament. He finds that magic spark. Somewhere he digs deep in this tournament and likes the bright lights. So I feel like he's going to come out swinging. He's going to come out pitching. And if he can make a pitching impact early and he can make a hitting impact early for his team's going to gain the confidence and move forward. So that Miracle Risers game is another one to watch. This Contenders Bracket A, while I don't think it is the death bracket, I do think it is a tough bracket. Who is going to take down the Phenoms or Vegas in that 2-0 game? Now, my upset alert that would alter the bracket, I'm going to put it out there. Risers are looking like they're the favorites against the Miracle. But if the Miracle pull off that upset, I know what they're capable of, but if they pull off that upset and then move on to that game against Wiffleholics or the Abominable Whiffmen, I think they make it to that 2-0, and I think they push Phenoms or Las Vegas to the brink. So I think Miracle have a chance of upsetting this bracket and altering the course of this Contenders Bracket A. That is how each of these is going to work. So that is Bracket A, brought to you by Grand Slam System. Let me hide that one. And next up, we'll bring up Bracket B. Bracket B brought to you by Moonshot. As you can see here, all the 8 teams in this bracket. The favorites, in my opinion, are going to be the winner of the second round matchup between the Skull Crushers and the Meats. Whichever team makes it out of that second round game, I think is going to be my pick to win the 3-0 matchup. So the Skull Crushers and the Meats, both very successful teams in their own right the past couple of years, have always made waves. Meats have made it to a finals, have made it to a championship before against the Jugs. And the Skull Crushers have been so close to making it far and away and have been one of the best teams in the Contenders Bracket the past couple of years. Love both of these teams, and I really do think one of them is going to come out 3-0. But here are the 5 players on 5 teams that I think will make a difference to stop one of those teams. The first one, I'm going to start with the team that's facing off against the Skull Crushers in the first round, is the Flamingos. Again, I hope that these rosters are still active. I hope that they're still right. But if they're not, I apologize, but I still love talking about this kid, and that is Preston Colm. Preston Colm is the real deal. He is the next big thing in wiffle ball, in my opinion. I will tell you, I personally didn't expect much out of Preston Colm when we faced them at the NWA tournament. I thought, he was, a little bit younger. I thought he was still developing, but he is anything but. He is the real deal right now. Loved facing off against him, loved picking his brain after they beat us in that NWA tournament game to eliminate us. Preston Colm was one of the best pitchers I had seen in the NWA tournament this past year. And not only that, he can smash the ball too. The Flamingos having Preston Colm on their team, if he's still on their team, I hope it is. I also saw him on a U17 team as well, so we'll see if he's playing both this year. But Preston Colm is my pick to be a difference maker and push those Skull Crushers to everything that they can give to. My next one on Way Too Beautiful, their newest addition, Tom Gannon. Welcome to Way Too Beautiful. And I know Tom's actually been trying to play on this franchise for quite some time. So to get to now play with Skip and Adam, Potter, and Bull, Tom Gannon is probably going to get some early looks with his arm. They might save Bull, they might save Skip for a little bit later, because Tom Gannon is a viable arm that can pitch for them and also can add some hitting depth to this team as well. So Tom Gannon is going to be my pick to make an impact for Way Too Beautiful as they face off against Vendetta. Vendetta's an interesting team as well. They have a lot of some veterans in this tournament, veterans of East Coast Wiffs, veterans of MAW, and Jimmy Flynn is my pick in this one. On both sides of the ball, I've seen Jimmy Flynn pitch and hit in big-time moments in this tournament before, notably playing with the Meats as well one year. So Jimmy Flynn is my pick for Vendetta. Tom Gannon with the Way Too Beautiful in their first-round matchup. Next, we move on to another matchup at the bottom of this bracket. Lit City, another MoWiff team, versus C4. Last year's runners-up, C4. And C4, they had Jugs sweating, I think, in that championship game. And Ty is one of the best hitters in this tournament, if not the best hitter, in my opinion. So fun to watch C4 every single year with Kevin Norris and Ty, Ed Packer. And obviously with the addition of Dan Whitener, this team's loaded. So for C4 facing off against Lit City, my C4 difference maker, and it's so hard to say, right? Because they are a contender in this contenders bracket. They could just as easily go 3-0 in this bracket. They go 2-0, and then they're facing off against the Meats of the Skull Crushers in that 2-0 game, and then they're winning. Just my opinion, I'm picking Skull Crushers or Meats for this one, but C4 I think has a tougher, road possibly to get there. So C4 facing off against this young Lit City team. Ed Packer is going to be my pick for my difference maker on C4. If he can get hot from the left side of the plate, and then also I know he pitched a little bit last year and is probably going to get some innings this year early. If he gives them viable innings, he's going to be that difference maker for C4. And then you have Lit City. Lit City, I know these guys very well, teammates with many of them in many different facets of wiffle ball, but this team is going to be known for their pitching depth. What they need to continue to work on, and they know this too, and come up with those big hits, those timely hits outside of Pat Ballman, who's probably playing some of the best wiffle ball in the country right now. Pat Ballman's going to hit. He's going to hit C4. He's going to hit anybody they face off in the future rounds. Pat Ballman is, the future of this sport in so many ways, and excited to see him in his second year at UWiffs. But Pat Ballman aside, I have this pick for Lit City as my difference maker, and that is Colin Wilkerson. Colin Wilkerson is, with all the pitching depth that this team has, he's not probably going to get some innings later in Saturday. He's going to get some early innings sometime within this contenders bracket. Not sure when, but he's going to probably get some innings early. Also, he's got to step up hitting-wise. We've seen Colin's potential. We've seen his power potential that he has. We've also seen him be very streaky at the plate. If he's streaky, I feel like this team's going to struggle a little bit because they can't rely on just Pat and a little bit of James Klein, who's coming out of nowhere hitting-wise too. So Colin Wilkerson is my pick for my difference maker. If he can step up at the plate and get his wins when he's on the mound, then I feel like Lit City's going to make it far and play spoiler. Going to my upset to alter this contenders bracket B, I'm going to pick the Flamingos and Skull Crushers game. That would be so interesting if this young gun team could sneak up on the Skull Crushers. Now I say that, but the Skull Crushers have so much pitching depth. Reed Warner ran through and got 3-0 to the Skull Crushers last year. You got to believe the Skull Crushers are going to do something similar to put them in that great position because they have Whitty later on. They have Smithy, Reed. Any of them could switch off in any of those roles. But it would be fun to see a Sean Hornberger or a Preston Colm victory for the Flamingos and upsetting the Skull Crushers and changing the landscape of that bracket. So that is my upset alert to watch out for in Contenders Bracket B. All right, here we go. Bracket C, and then we're more than halfway done after this. Bracket C, let me pull this one away. Bracket C is brought to you by Font Guys Apparel. Font Guys Apparel, thank you for all of your apparel needs that you've had throughout Wiffle Ball, so thank you for providing all of those too. And we're going to start with the favorites. I think it's no question. Everybody's got it on their minds. No question favorite, not only in this bracket, but no question favorites in the tournament. Sorry, I had to get another drink. Is got to be the Jugs. Juggernauts are my favorite to not only win this bracket, but they have to be your favorite to win the tournament. I know there's people talking about how they haven't played together all year, or they're how they're going to gel getting back together now. But let's be honest, this team has gelled. They've been together. They know what they're doing. They know the strategy. They know the mold. They're going to be there on Sunday, guaranteed. So they will be in contenders, and they are going to win this contenders bracket C, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean one of these 5 players can't step up and make a difference for their team. And here's the 5 I'm talking about today. First up, from the Pandas, I feel like it's one of the hottest names in wiffle ball right now, and that is Brody Livingston. Brody Livingston is one of those players that I feel like he could pitch every single game for the Pandas in the entire tournament. He not only could pitch every single game, but he could also be the difference maker and the hitter on his team. We've seen it time and time again in MoWiff. You've seen it time and time again in BLW. You've seen him be the guy that steps up for his team, and I could see him doing that for the Pandas here. It would not surprise me if all of a sudden we saw Brody Livingston first pitch on the mound against the Stompers, gets the win, comes out, then all of a sudden they face off against the Jugs in the next round, and Brody's like, no, I want the ball. I want to take these guys out. So it wouldn't surprise me. It also wouldn't surprise me if they saved Brody as well, too. So who knows what the strategy is coming from it, but Brody's one of those guys that could roll 3-0 through this contenders bracket, pitch them Saturday night, and then pitch them into Sunday. He's got that rubber arm for sure. So Brody Livingston is my pick to be the difference maker and could be the best player in this contenders bracket when the weekend is over. From 603, returning back for the 603 All-Stars is Pat Leahy. And Pat Leahy has been a member of the 603 All-Stars franchise before. I've played against Pat before, and him adding that pitching and hitting depth for 603, and while yes, I know people could say they're an aging roster, but that experience plays so much, and they are one of the most winning franchises in national tournament history. So 603 is going to be a tough matchup for anybody, including the team they're facing in the first round, and that is the Process. The Process, led by Rob Longeroux. I have Rob as my difference maker because he's got to be the leader. He's got to be the person that steps up. He has played on so many amazing franchises in this tournament and has had so many games in high leverage situations that he's got to transfer that now to this Process team. I know the Process has been playing together this year on the East Coast, and they have a tough task ahead of them going against 603. If they can get past 603 in this first round, I just went through my upset, so I'm just going to jump right to it because I talked about those two. But that is my upset game for this bracket. My upset alert to alter the bracket would be the Process over 603. Process trying to get more wins under their belt. 603 has the wins. They're kind of the favorite right now, in my opinion. So Process upsetting 603 could catapult them into the 2-0 game, and then you never know after that when they face off against the Jugs or the Pandas or the Stompers or Whiskey Ducks, whoever comes from the bottom. Next up for the crew, I have another MoWiff team. I have a difference maker I want to shout out, and that is Mr. Justin Hall. Justin Hall is a guy that can shut down any offense on his best days. And I feel like Justin Hall is one of those Bulldogs that's going to fight and bear down. It's his first UWiff tournament, so nobody's really seen him. He was one of the pitchers of the week when he played in East Coast WiFs this year. So exciting to see Justin come back to the East Coast after having so much success before. So having him face off against another new team, Bamboo, with a lot of new players as well. So it's going to be kind of new team against new team here for Bamboo and the crew. So excited to see Justin Hall. I assume that they're going to pitch him early, wanting to get wins early. Him and Caden Rice are basically their two pitchers that they're going to roll with. So I feel like they're going to get some heavy loads early. So Justin Hall is my pick for the difference maker. And finally, the Stompers, my last one I'm going to talk about in this bracket. The Stompers, my difference maker is Bryce Clark. Sure, that might be an easy pick. We all know Colin Prentice is the ace of this Stompers team. He's going to get some big situation pitching innings for the Stompers, but Bryce Clark is going to have to step up and have a great tournament on the mound and at the plate from the left side. Bryce Clark didn't have as great of an NWA tournament as I know he wanted to have. After dropping a few of their pool play games, they actually crawled back and made a really nice run in the NWA tournament to, I think, finish top 8. So Bryce Clark was a big part of that, and I know he wants to continue that. I know the Stompers as a franchise haven't had the start of the year that they want, but they're kind of getting hot at the right time. So Stompers are always a team that's dangerous. No more Tom Gannon this year as he went to Way Too Beautiful, but the Stompers are still the Stompers of old. The heel, the foot, and the heel, the arch, and the toe, as Colin would say on their Stompers podcast, athlete's foot, I believe. And I don't know which one Tom Gannon was, but I guess they cut off the toe. Who knows? But that is the bracket C. Remember, the upset was the process over 603 that I have on alert. We are over halfway done. Let's move on to bracket D, everybody. Bracket D, thanks for sticking with us again through this 56 and under episode, our UWiffs special. Bracket D brought to you by Wellspan Park. Wellspan Park is our host site that we've had the past many years for UWiff. And this contenders bracket, some I think are kind of putting this as one of the weaker brackets of the tournament, mainly because that high tier team isn't really anywhere on here. Are there a lot of really good teams? Yeah, but are there the proven tier 1 teams that have been on Sunday time and time again? No. But there are these teams. This might be a chance for one of these teams to take that next step. My favorite in this bracket is SoCal. SoCal Wiffle they made a run last year, got very, very close to getting to Sunday last year, and then they add Jackson Pearson and Connor Jaso to this roster. I mean, that's right there. That is putting you in huge contention for being a top 8 team and making it to Sunday if they can save one of those arms to get them there Saturday night. This team is loaded on both sides of the ball, pitching and hitting. They are going to have a tough task of deciding, hey, are we hitting 5 or are we going down to 4 hitters? Who's not hitting for us if so? Who's not playing the field and who's not pitching in these games? Does each of them get one game on Saturday? I mean, it very well could happen that way. They are all that good. So SoCal is my pick to be the favorite for this bracket. And here are the 5 players and the 5 teams that I have that could possibly make a difference to get past SoCal. My first one, MLW. MLW facing off against Mojo in the first round, and this is going to be it's probably one of the better first round matchups in this contenders bracket. 2 very even teams, MLW, and my pick is Kyle Schultz. Kyle has a lot on his mind during this weekend. He has, he's not only playing in the tournament, he's running the U17 national tournament, he's running the meet and greet and Friday night festivities. As we all know, he's the hardest working man in wiffle ball. Kyle Schultz has a lot on his mind, but being able to lock in for his team is going to be huge, especially knowing that he's probably going to get some early pitching innings, as Ryan Cratch and Jimmy Norp are going to be kind of their guys that they maybe save later on. Jimmy, I know, has pitched in the contenders bracket as well too. Kyle Schultz might get some early innings, and if he steps up for his team, that would be huge for his team down the line that went 0-3 last year, and I know they do not want a repeat of that. Kyle Schultz also can smack the ball, and I feel like if he's leading in the leadoff spot or number 2 behind Jimmy Norp, whatever their batting order is going to be, wherever he's going to lie, if he's having a good day, MLW is going to be rolling. My next one is Punishment. Punishment is another team on here. They've always been kind of a top 16 team, trying to get over that hump to Sunday as well, kind of like SoCal. But my pick for Punishment to be a difference maker is Jackson Richardson. We all know Jackson Richardson can hit, but can he save some arms and also provide maybe a pitching depth opportunity for him to steal a win in one of the early games? So Jackson Richardson is my pick to have a good Saturday so that he can propel Punishment to be in a good spot into Saturday night and hopefully into Sunday for them. Moving down in the bracket, the Dragons are facing off against KWL. So I have the Dragons and the Keggers coming up next. First one for the Dragons, my pick for a difference maker is Dougie Baker, probably having the best pitching year he's had in Mauve for the Dragons in his career. Dougie Baker, more known for his hitting, but now on the mound, if he's coming alive like this, I feel like the Dragons are going to make a run. They need to get past Kalamazoo so that they can have a chance at, getting that SoCal game and pushing to 2-0. That's another team that, with Nick Lee, with Bucci, I feel like they have the tools to be successful later on in this tournament, but I know that they might want to use Dougie a little bit early in these rounds, so hopefully Doug can come up with those big wins for the Dragons. On the other side, we have the Kalamazoo Keggers. The Keggers, I have Caden Irwin here. Not only is he the new MLW Cobras captain, taking over for Drew Davis after Drew Davis gets traded to the Predators, but Caden Irwin has had success with the WSCM Dream Team in this tournament, played with MLW before in this tournament, and at Keggers as well. So I feel like he has that experience that can lead them on the mound. They have the pitching depth, though. They have the Baranowskis, they have Nate Thompson, they have Mike Hogan. They can pitch literally anybody, but I think Caden in this style is who they either want to save or ride to get them in the position that they need to get in. The Keggers have not had the success in this tournament that they want, and I know that they want to change that this year. So Caden Irwin is my pick to be the difference maker for the Keggers. And then we go to Roadkill. Roadkill, the BWBL team, probably one of the better teams in BWBL over the past, year and a half, 2 years. And they're facing off against SoCal Wiffle. That is my upset alert to alter this bracket. If Roadkill comes out and catches SoCal sleeping, then all of a sudden Roadkill's moving on to that second round. SoCal's at the other side, and all of a sudden the entire landscape of this contenders bracket completely changes. Do I think SoCal's the favorite to win this? Yes. But does that mean that Roadkill might be able to come at SoCal and give them their best so that they can maybe push on to the winner's side of this contenders bracket? I have Jacob Hunter as my difference maker. He led the Roadkill team in innings pitched and in batting average this year. So on both sides of the ball, if he steps up, this team's going to be rolling. This Roadkill team is one of a few teams. There's not many in this field that have all played together in their league. So the fact that every single one of them plays on Roadkill in BWBL is going to help them mesh together against a team like SoCal, who they haven't played together all year long as a full unit. So I have Roadkill SoCal as my upset alert to alter the bracket. And that moves us on to the final bracket, Bracket E for the contenders bracket, or as many people are calling, the Pool of Death. Brought to you by the Yoke Revolution here. And the favorites to win this one, it's too hard. It's too hard to pick, honestly. There's so many teams on here. There's 4, you could say, top tier teams in this contenders bracket between Black Dog, Usual Suspects, Ridley Park, who's the Mall champions, and Wiff Inc. Constant Sunday appearances with all of these teams. And then that doesn't even include some fantastic teams like Great Lakes, the up-and-coming team with North Stars, NWL, and Old Line getting their first win last year too. So anybody can make an appearance in any of these games. But my picks, take another drink here. My favorites, I have 2 different ones I'm going to pick because I can't pick one, is either going to be Wiff Inc. or Black Dog Country Club. I think it's going to be Wiff Inc. against Black Dog Country Club in the 2-0 matchup. So whoever wins that one is obviously going to be 3-0. So those are my 2 favorites in this one. The favorite from the bottom would be Black Dog, their depth. I know Usual Suspects are always there. I know they added David Wood that we'll talk about in a second, but I still think Black Dog Country Club has the most depth of talent in this tournament field. So Black Dog Country Club is my pick with Wiff Inc. to move on to that 2-0 game, and those are my favorites to get to that 3-0 spot. Speaking of Usual Suspects, David Wood is my pick for difference maker. How will the Usual Suspects use him? How will they use him against Black Dog Country Club? How will they use him throughout this contenders bracket and into the tournament where they will be deep into the tournament? David Wood could very well all of a sudden start off and pitch against Black Dog Country Club in game 1. It could be where they signed him for some pitching depth to maybe add to it. Will he add some hits? He's had some big-time hits for the Phenoms in the past, so will he add those big-time hits for Usual Suspects, or will they change up their strategy? What is Lanigan going to decide for Usual Suspects? They've gone that same road. I know Paul Cook's talked about it, where they pitched Lanigan early. Do they deviate with this Black Dog team who is hungry to get that first win? My next one for NWL is, some would say Hunter, who's basically the captain of this team. Some would say Nico, who's coming out from the U17 tournament last year to the big tournament this year. But my pick is Aiden Palmer. I've seen Aiden Palmer play for CCW before in NWLA. I've seen him play with CCW in their league before. He's had success at this tournament. I have Aiden Palmer as the difference maker for NWL, providing that experienced arm. How will they utilize him? Is this a team that decides, hey, let's go for it early, let's go for it now, facing off against a tough Wiffle team? Who knows what they're going to do in the first round? Or do they save Aiden for later if they, quote unquote, punt the game against Wiffle, and then they get to that loser's bracket side, and then maybe they go with Aiden there. So Aiden's my difference maker for this team out of the Midwest. And then for Ridley Park, the long balls. Again, if rosters have changed, I apologize. But from what I can see on Instagram, Bose is not coming. Brendan Bose not coming to United Wiffle. Can't find him. He would be on this long balls roster. Yes, they have probably my favorite wiffle ball player in the country is Cam Farrow. I know he's on this team. Not my difference maker, though. My difference maker is Teddy Dretcher. The best game of wiffle ball that I saw this year was the Maw game, where Teddy kept tying home runs to take the lead, and it was one of the best games I've ever seen. I was texting Dylan Harshaw during that game saying Teddy is just a monster. If Teddy continues to find that success, he can be a difference maker on both sides of the ball for Ridley Park, especially in the absence of Bose. So having Teddy maybe go early, shut down innings for the Ridley Park long balls, they could make it to that 2-0 game as well over Wiffing and push to 3-0 if they wanted to go for it all. So Ridley Park, Teddy Dretcher is my pick for their difference maker. For the North Stars, heading back up, the North Stars facing off against Ridley Park, I have Evan Sibbett. Evan Sibbett has always been, in my opinion, one of the best yellow bat hitters in the country. And he is a strike thrower when you need him to throw strikes. He is somebody that Trent Steffes can deploy at any moment in this tournament and have a shutdown inning or two. He is also a guy that could lead off for this team hitting-wise and be the guy on both sides of the ball. So again, Evan Sibbett is going to be the difference maker for the North Stars. If he has a very successful tournament, the North Stars are going to be winning. We know Will Grass is going to have a fantastic tournament. Austin Steffes has been growing so much in this tournament ability-wise, and Trent's going to step up this tournament too. So we have Evan Sibbett as the guy that's going to lead the ship. If he's going, the North Stars are continuing to go north. And then finally, I have Great Lakes Legion, and I'm going to go with the man of Great Lakes, and that is Ethan Weiner. Another MoWiff player. Ethan Weiner is a hitting machine with a batting stance that is unrivaled for anybody else. But Ethan Weiner is my difference maker for the Great Lakes Legion. If he is getting those big hits, I noticed it at MoWiff Classic. I've noticed it on the Bombers and MoWiff. I've noticed it in Maw when he's played there. When Ethan's hitting, his team gets so hyped up and they start getting up to Ethan's level and they start building towards him and they want to match that energy. So if Ethan is doing that, it's going to be a huge difference for the Great Lakes Legion as they look to get past Old Line, get that first win under their belt, and then move on to a tough matchup between the Usual Suspects or Black Dog Country Club. My upset alert of this bracket is going to be the North Stars over Ridley Park in round one. I think the North Stars can pull out, whether it's Austin Steffes early, whether they go Will Grass early, whether they go Evan Sibbett. I feel like they have the options pitching-wise to catch Ridley Park off, throwing off, because they want to save their best arms. If they, Sean, I say best arms, but they're all great. If they get Sean Bigner in the first round and faces off against a Will Grass could go toe-to-toe with Sean and make it interesting, and my only one hit could make the difference for that game. So I'm going to go my upset alert to watch to alter the bracket, North Stars over Ridley Park. And folks, that is it. Thank you for sticking with me. It's always fun to kind of break down those contenders brackets and go bit by bit. I know it took a little bit for you, but that's our UWiffs pre-tournament contenders bracket segment. Nothing I say means anything, obviously. It all depends on what happens on Saturday this weekend, but everyone I know is excited to see how it all is going to play out. To end the podcast, I usually do another segment. I usually have 3 segments, so I had our recap Missouri segment, and then I had our contenders bracket segment, so I have one more segment for you. And it's an over-under segment. And I always set a line, when I do this for MoWiff, I always set a line for 5.5, which is in between 5 and 6, 56 and under. So 5.5 is the line for over and under. And to wrap up the show, I'm going to go back to kind of the MoWiff brand that we are under for this. And I'm going to do an over-under prediction for every true Missouri MoWiff team in the field at UWiffs this weekend. So there's 4 true all-Missouri teams this weekend that are coming. The first one, I'll do my own team, the Mojo. My prediction, or my over-under for the Mojo is 5.5 games played for the Mojo this weekend. And the Mojo are in an interesting spot. They very well could go 2-1, and they could make their way to the top 24 and play 2 more games, and that's 5 games. And if they get to Sunday, that would be 6. The opposite route, they could go 1-2, and then all of a sudden have to play in the Survivor round. And if they make it past the Survivor round, that's 2 more games. They get 1 game. They have to play 2 more games in the top 24. So they very well could play 7 games. So I feel like the range of games for the Mojo is the most out of any team, I feel like, in MoWiff so far, from a negative or a positive side. So they could play anywhere from 3 to 8 games, I feel like, in this tournament. So for the Mojo, what's your 5.5 prediction on games played for the Mojo this season? I think I have it at 5. So if I have my math right, I'm an under at 5. 5.5 for the next one. 5.5 runs scored for Lit City all weekend. And I know Lit City is going to take that as a slight. But I think Lit City is probably going to be one of the more successful MoWiff teams this weekend at UWiff because their pitching depth is incredible. They need to hit. They could very well play 6 or 7 games this weekend. And if they play 6 or 7 games this weekend, that means they're putting in contention to Sunday, and it's their pitching that's going to get them there. Their pitching is good enough that they could have games go 1-0. And if they get that 1-0 win, if they get that 1, that's only 1 run scored. I do think that they're going to have a breakout game somewhere. I know Lit City's path is pretty difficult in the contenders bracket and heading into Saturday night and into Sunday. But my over-under prediction is 5.5 runs scored. I think they do get the over on this one. I think it's going to be around 7 or 8 for them this weekend. But I have the over. So what do you guys all think? You can type it in the chat, or we can talk about it later too. But 5.5, next one. 5.5 times Tony Cochran for the Miracle says the word buffalo if they end up playing Slaughterhouse in a contenders bracket game. Tony Cochran, very well known for his trash talk. And I know they played the Buffalo last year in the dumps and they lost, but I know that if Tony Cochran sees Buffalo out there, he might be saying a lot of Buffalo words. So how many times, 5.5, over or under, will Tony Cochran say the word Buffalo if Miracle end up playing Slaughterhouse in the contenders bracket game? I'm going to say over on this one. I'm going to say it 6 times, right on the over, on the cusp. I think he's going to say it every time Buffalo comes up to bat. And then the last one for the crew, I have 5.5 runs allowed in their 3 contenders bracket games. So the crew, their pitching is going to be what they need to continue to, focus on this weekend. They really only have 2 viable pitchers with Caden Rice and Justin Hall. Chandler Milton can pitch a little bit, Ballman can pitch a little bit, Tom Wilkerson can go out there and throw, but you're not going to want to throw them out there, especially if you want to get the under in this 5.5 runs allowed. If they can keep games close, they got a chance. But 5.5 runs allowed is mine. I think that they get just over that. I think it's going to be around 6 or 7 that they allow in their 3 contenders bracket games, but I still think they get 1 win out of this group at least, and maybe catapult them into that survivor bracket that they're hoping for there. And that's it. Those are my 4 over-under predictions for the Missouri teams that are heading there this weekend to UWiff. I want to thank you for joining me for today's 56 and under special episode, and I wish everyone safe travels as they head to UWiffs this weekend. Big shout out to the Cook brothers and everyone who helps make this tournament such an amazing destination for every Wiffler in the country. Don't forget to all the league commissioners, if interested in saving a bit of money, come find me this weekend to register for NWLA, and we will see you all in a couple of days. Thank you for joining me for 56 and under. See you in York.